Yep.
Perfect.
I
Thank you.
see that.
All right.
Yeah.
Say hi. All right, we're about to start, Pete.
We are.
Bye.
Hi, Peyton.
All right.
We are officially live. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. We will call to order tonight's special Board of Education meeting for Wednesday, September 30th, 2020. Start off with roll call. Vice President Pizzati.
Here.
Clerk Kirby Gonzalez.
Here.
Trustee Wong.
Here.
Trustee Akala.
Hi.
And I too am present. Okay. We have approval of tonight's agenda. Do we have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
So moved by Trustee Akala. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President Pizzati. Okay. Trustee Akala, roll call vote.
Aye.
Trustee Wong.
Aye.
Clerk Kirby Gonzalez.
Aye.
Vice President Pizzati.
Aye.
And I too vote aye. Tonight's agenda is approved. Okay, public comments. Members of the public may address the board on topics that are under the jurisdiction of the board and are not on the agenda, although the board by law may not take action at this meeting. The board may limit the total time for public input on any topic to 20 minutes unless it chooses to waive the item limit for a particular item. The board respects the rights of members of the public to speak to us regarding matters on the agenda and other matters within the jurisdiction of the board. However, it is important for members of the public to recognize that comments regarding students other than the speaker's own children made during a public board meeting may be legally actionable as a violation of student privacy. Public comments consisting of individual charges, complaints, or derogatory remarks about any district employee are requested to be submitted in writing to the administration in accordance with the district's complaint procedure. Furthermore, it is important for the public to understand that negative or derogatory comments made against district employees or others, even those made in the board meeting, may be actionable civil defamation. Okay, yeah, we'll move on to E. Whoop, broke my pen. E1, it's an action item, Washington Unified School District Learning Continuity and Attendance Plan, the LCP, Superintendent Luna.
Thank you, President Jackson. And I did not have any public comments for this evening, and I don't think we have any waiting in the stands either.
That's
I
correct.
kind of did jump the gun on that, didn't I?
There's only two people.
Sorry, my
No,
apologies.
that's all right. From our last board meeting, we have made some revisions, mostly to the Washington Unified Learning Continuum and Attendance Plan, based on the input that we received at the September 24th board meeting. So basically, this is like our fourth draft based on any input that we've received from public comments, from parents, from the Board of Trustees, to this final draft. As a reminder, this is a working document. This is a document that should be fluid. As things change, as we get more solidified data in terms of specific learning loss plans and specific grade levels and specific content areas, those should be added as we become more versed during this very unprecedented time. That said, this evening is September 30th. September 30th is the deadline to approve all LCP plans in order to qualify for all of the learning loss mitigation and funds to support during the COVID-19 period. The changes that were made from, I keep looking at my calendar, I'm sorry, I just don't want to make the wrong statement of a date, is from the last meeting, September 24th, the board was given a summary of some of the changes that were made in regards to the learning continuum attendance plan for Washington Unified. And I'm wondering if the board had any other questions or concerns from the changes made.
Don't everyone speak at once.
Well, I mean, I submitted my comments online and we don't need to go through them. It just lacks a level of detail that I've provided that to Superintendent Luna as well as staff. So hopefully, as you say, it's a living document that will be incorporated in future implementation. And as we talk about transparency to the public about how we measure interventions or have a clearer description of MTSS, which was lacking, in my opinion. I understand that we need to approve it today to make sure that we're not losing the learning loss fund. So I understand that, but just wanted to be clear and make note of that.
Thank you, Trustee Wong.
My only comment would be is that, you know, as you stated, this is a more or less a living document that is meant to be fluid in the ebb and flow and the change as the situation and circumstances present themselves. I think in light, not sure we were able to go ahead and to make any additions or amendments to the plan in light of the information that was received yesterday with the county moving into the red tier, which then gives us the possibility of potentially reopening schools in some capacity, provided that we stay in that red tier within the next 2 weeks.
Yes, it seems like it's moving pretty fast and furious when our counties are actually determining dates for which school districts may actually bring students onto campus in a full hybrid model versus the initial guidance we just received a few weeks ago on small cohorts of strategic and targeted instruction. So at this point, yes, you're right. It has changed almost within the past 10 days of the amount of students that they're allowing to return back.
Mm-hmm. And not only that, then what I was very surprised to hear too, that at our 2x2 today, that if we do go back, then we are no longer bound by the tiers, which was interesting to learn.
How do you mean? If you come back,
Clarify,
you no
please.
longer are bound by the tiers?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's what we were.
Well, one of the things that was mentioned in the 2x2 meeting today and in regards to returning back to school is that once a school reopens, of course, they're following the state and health guidelines. But in terms of tiers and how the county is going to monitor the amount countywide, our responsibility will be following the guidelines to the percent and the amount per school and the district by students and by staff. So it's a little bit more detailed when you open in the hybrid model in regards to identifying students or staff should a member become identified with COVID-19. There are different metrics that we live by in the guidelines. They have not changed in terms of whether it's 25%, when do you actually close a facility? It's dependent upon the percent of students identified with COVID-19 and positive cases on the campus and also with staff. So it's a very different guideline than the county's guideline that we've been living by the tiers.
Okay, gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
so if I understand correctly, once
It's
you
really
open,
it's ownership on the.
you shift to the
Sorry.
CDC guidelines? Oh, no, that's okay. So the question is, I mean, and one, I would love to have a more robust presentation from public health or maybe staff about what that really means.
Yes,
So maybe
definitely.
before we start to open up like that would be a good presentation in advance. So
Of
are you
course.
saying that we would follow the CDC guidelines versus the larger kind of 4-tiered countywide metrics? Is that what I'm understanding?
We would be following the county guidelines in determining how much to open and when we would be able to open.
Right.
In terms of opening, once we open, we would be following the guidelines per school site.
Mhm.
by students and staff. And there are different percentages than what the county is doing.
And that's determined by the county or state or?
No, I believe they are the state guidelines in terms of what percent identified in your student population. But we do have planned this presentation, especially after learning the remarks of today from the county 2x2 meeting. We will definitely be having a presentation at our next board meeting in regards to what their expectations will be on us.
And that was actually, that was the main reason why I even brought it up, was because I know that was new information to me. I was kind of surprised when that statement was made. I was like, oh, kind of hurt my dog hairs up a little bit. So and obviously that won't be in this version of the LCP. So if we can just, kind of make sure we're working that in to have the protocols and guidelines that we will be following,
Right.
and how in the steps and procedures that we will have in place, that should we, or I guess at this point is when we do reopen, the steps that we'll be following and the guidelines that we'll be following in terms of what if a student tests positive, because the last thing I want to have is stories like I've been seeing in the B about other districts that have opened and kids testing positive. And, I think if we kind of lay that out early and often for folks, we shouldn't have any surprises. And that way we can make sure that, our plan is very thoroughly laid out as far as what our plan is, what we're going to do. Should someone test positive, should multiple people on the campus test positive, at what point will we decide to shut down the campus or two, or even the entire district again moving forward. So
Yeah, thank you for that. And the guidelines are there. I believe it's from the CDPH in regards to when to close a campus, when to get guidance from the public health officer.
Mhm.
And it is by percent, and it is by the numbers based on the school site itself and the location. So we will definitely revisit those because they are much more, they're much more pertinent now that the county and the state is talking more and more about opening. We weren't paying attention to that per se that back when we were 100% virtual, we couldn't get the numbers of COVID-19 under control in our own community or in our county. But now that those have shifted, we will go back to revisit so that the most pertinent information in regards to our next steps will be fully understood by our entire community.
President Jackson, can I make some comments with that?
Of course.
I think it was very confusing and surprising because we of course know that we need to stay in the red tier for a minimum of 2 weeks, right? We have some criteria, and the question was asked, what about those on a waiver if things change or tiers change? And they said, well, they're already open. They just look at them as a specific school site, not at the community spread, which is confusing for our community and for us as well. And so I think it's good to have that conversation with public health, especially we have a new public health official. And I would also ask that we ensure that as we do these plans, that because there is such a discrepancy between our private schools, our for-pay schools, and our public schools, that we have conversations within our public school districts so that we have some uniformity, because I think it's really important to help with that clarity of message, because it's confusing when different places are doing different things. And so I ask as we move forward with our LCP that we have close conversations with our partners as well. And I have no other comments about this document specifically, other than I think what has already been made. I appreciate all the hard work, and I appreciate the drafts that have been gone back through. And I think that we all just want to keep having clarity. And as President Jackson said, we want no surprises. But then it is hard when I know for staff that's working so hard when changes come to us, no matter how hard we're working on our own. So the best we can.
Yeah, I think it's, I think the ride is starting again, the roller coaster. We have holidays coming up, and I think some people are saying really good reminders to all of the community, and that is we all have to do our part. And all of you have said that in our board meetings. Without us all doing our individual part, it's not going to, it's not going to be effective. So thank you for your comments.
I
Yeah,
just, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just looking at the dashboard, and today there was only 4 new cases in Yolo, none in West Sacramento, 1 in an unincorporated part, 2 in Woodland, and I think 1 in Davis. So we're certainly trending down. I'm worried that the pressure is going to ramp up again to immediately reopen, much like OLG did, like as soon as they saw the trend coming down. I don't think we're out of the woodworks. We're out of the woodworks yet, just like we were in the past. As soon as we see a holiday, things spike again, and it's coming up again. So, we have Halloween on the horizon and a couple other holidays coming up. I'm afraid of what that's going to mean and what it's going to look like. So while people are sprinting to reopen, I certainly hope that we tend to take a more cautious approach and kind of take a slow and steady pace and make sure we can do it safely.
Superintendent, the one thing that again, this just popped in my mind because my wife is actually in, I'm sitting outside, of course, and my wife is actually in the house on a Zoom meeting with her team at UC Davis. Have we asked how the fact that the university is getting ready to, they are literally just coming back to start classes this week. I think today's Wednesday. The classes for them to start either tomorrow or Friday. It is with those numbers. If all of a sudden, like at every other college campus around the country that have had students on campus, if the numbers at Davis somehow spike, which I would anticipate that they probably will that then impact the numbers for the county, or would that just be, or would they disaggregate that out and just have that applied to the university? Because I think that's something that could come back and then could ultimately come back to affect us, right?
So
I definitely,
go ahead.
Well, the college that's connected to our LCP with us is a community college, and community colleges, are online. They're going to stay virtual, at least for right now. They have not, Sacramento City College has not talked about reopening like our K-12 institutions. So, but tomorrow I have a county superintendent meeting. I will definitely ask that question and bring that up, because all 5 school districts, Woodland, Davis, Esparto, Winters, and ourselves, we are all much more aligned in terms of being cautious, being ready. Our work is far different than one private school opening because we have multiple campuses, multiple communities, and COVID-19 affects a school district far different than one school. So our work is a little bit different, but I will definitely bring that up tomorrow in my superintendent meeting.
Preston, I can answer your question for you. Yeah, it does. So we had an outbreak of COVID in San Quentin Prison in Marin County. It was reported the 100+ inmates that were initially diagnosed went on to go as reported for the county as county residents. That number climbed to almost 1,000. And that's why Marin County was this big explosive hub of, it's because of the one facility right there.
Right. Yeah, because San Quentin happens to be on the peninsula right there.
Yeah. So that's what happens. So it gets reported for the facility is part of the county, and the kids there would be considered residents.
Okay. All right. Well, good. Any other questions on the LCP? Okay. Well, I do then. If we're good with that, we have a motion to approve it. Moved by Vice President Pizzotti. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Trustee Alcala. Okay. Roll call vote. Vice President Pizzotti.
Aye.
Clerk Kirby Gonzalez.
Aye.
Trustee Wong.
Aye.
Trustee Alcala.
Aye.
And I too vote aye. So our LCP plan is approved. Okay. E2, Washington Middle College High School Learning Continuity and Attendance Plan.
Yeah, President Jackson and Board of Trustees, there were no revisions made from the September 24th meeting. The revisions that were made for middle college, because it is a different situation as one school, that was changed from September 10th to the September 24th meeting. The changes, as you recall, are the actual numbers of student subgroups. The differences, a lot of the district language is in the middle college document. However, it does call out the student subgroups itself, where mostly the subgroups that middle college must monitor between Sacramento City College and their own high school program is through our free and reduced count of students, which is pretty significant for their population.
Okay. All right. Any questions about E2, the Washington Middle College?
I just have one because it comes up in the document about the 1-to-1 ratio of devices. And so my question is probably for Principal O'Neill, and it's simply asking, in Washington Unified, if a student has a hard time getting on, the teacher says, oh, let me, on the side conversation, or we call the principal. And what does that look like at college? Are any of our kids with our devices having a tricky time? Because I'm sure a college professor is not as much hand-holding, right? So what does that look like is my question. And have there been any problems or barriers there?
Are you kidding? We've had zero technical problems. I don't know what you're talking. No, it's exactly the same. In fact, I usually get the phone call or the frantic text message, and we swap out a Chromebook, or we are having a consistent issue with a specific Chrome application that the college uses for testing that fights with our filter. But we've been, the district has been super supportive with trying to troubleshoot that, and we're working with a couple of deans, actually, the West Sac Center and the department of that department.
Sean, you sound like you're in a fishbowl, man.
Oh, sorry.
There you go. There we go. We got you now.
That's where I live, actually. I'm only standing on one foot. There we go. So it's definitely, it's very similar to what's going on. There is no perfect situation. What we have noticed is, having been 1-to-1 before, we had everybody check out Chromebook, but because of the district moving that way and offering Chromebooks to everyone, we actually had less students pick up Chromebooks because they were under the impression that it was if needed. And so we're actually redistributing some of those to River City and some of the needy schools because students are using personal devices from home. They don't need our district Chromebooks on campus because they're not on campus yet. I don't know if that fully answered your question.
That does. It sounds like that maybe is more helpful for them if there's some filters that the district has in place that don't work with the college and they're not experiencing that on personal devices. Am I hearing that correctly? Okay, well,
I think we just lost Principal O'Neill.
We lose you, Sean.
all right. Well, it was helpful to hear that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it sounds like we lost him, but I will say this, that we are so very fortunate to have Principal O'Neill because his technology is his passion and he has got a gift to in that innovation and also troubleshooting and the programmatic side of technology, which I think is perfect for middle college, especially with our kids in the college system. And so what I heard from him is that there are some college programs or systems that maybe our system in our school district was not, they weren't communicating. And so now that I've heard that, I'm going to be sure to follow up on that and make sure I know exactly what those systems are, and we'll get that connected and better. It's been tough. The technology is tough all around. Even today, my technology was very troubled, and it wasn't on my end here at working in my office here at home or my device per se. So there's lots of layers of technology concerns. So Principal O'Neill, you put in the chat box that you're back. Is there anything that you wanted to add?
No, just that, again, the support from the district technology department's been amazing. And I think that if anything, that the thing I had to repeat over and over again to students and staff and parents, that, we don't hear in these meetings very much is just relax, it's okay. And we'll make it. So thanks you guys for all you're doing too.
You ready?
Oh, I can't tell if I'm.
Do we,
no,
Mm-hmm.
I don't
need
know
a
if there was
motion
a
or-
motion or not. Yeah, I think there needs to be a motion on this one. I'll move.
Thank you for that. Moved by Trustee Wong, seconded by Vice President Pizzotti. Okay, roll call vote. Trustee Akala,
Aye.
Trustee Wong,
Aye.
Clerk Kirby Gonzalez,
Aye.
Vice President Pizzotti,
Aye.
and I too vote aye. So we have our Washington Middle College LCP approved as well. Okie doke. Well, that is it, folks. That's all we have planned for this evening. Unless there's anything further, do we have a motion to adjourn? I know you guys want to hang out with me, but come on.
I'll second.
All right. All right. Moved by Vice President Vladdy, seconded by Clerk Kirby Gonzalez. Trustee Alcala?
Aye.
Vice President Pizzotti?
Aye.
Clerk Kirby Gonzalez?
Aye.
Aye.
Trustee Wong? Jumped the gun.
Oh, sorry. Again, I'm sorry. I'm tired.
I too vote aye.
Aye.
Our meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. Really appreciate it. This might go down in the record books, man. Let me tell you.
Trustee Wong is from